Tamsin Greig's gone sweary and scary for a new TV version of Sexy Beast.
Pat Butcher on steroids is how I described it. Just a haircut alone
And
in the show.
some.
Yeah. She's been described as pathologically controlling, and she's the older sister to Don, who's played by Emun Elliott. Speaking to them both in a moment, but it is absolutely so much fun, isn't it, this show? Let's take a look. It's so good.
It's such a feast in so many ways. Fun and terrifying at the same time. Tamsin and Emun join us now. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for coming in.
Congratulations, what a great show.
I've always said that I thought that Don Logan, the character that was played by Ben Kingsley in the film, was the scariest film character of all time. Scarier than Darth Vader, because he was so unhinged, mentally and physically ruthless. And then we meet his sister in the prequel, Tamsin, who I think is actually even more scary. What an extraordinary character to play. Firstly, welcome, lovely to have you here. The idea of picking up Sexy Beast and doing something like this is always going to be interesting because, of course, the film was so well received and so well loved.
And iconic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you know the film?
Yes.
I've seen bits of the film, but I watched the beginning of and I loved it. Tell us a bit about your character.
Well, OK, as you say, Cecilia Logan is the older sister of Don Logan, played, as we know, by Ben Kingsley in the film. This is a prequel story, so it's basically an act of imagination. How did those characters get to Spain? What's happened to them? And so we realise that Don has a very controlling older sister who has been a kind of surrogate parent to him and brought him up in a deeply loving way.
She's vile, isn't she? She's absolutely vile.
But she's doing the only thing that she knows how to do, which is to protect her own at whatever cost.
It's a fascinating twist to this character that I have always been so terrified of and gripped by, Emun, that actually the reason he became like that. There is a reason, and it seems like, well, obviously there's stuff that we see in the series, but his sister had a big hand in why he is like he is.
I think so, but I also think his sister was a victim, and they're also both survivors of difficult childhoods. And I think when they lost their parents and Don's sister stepped in, they were kind of trapped in this loop of abuse, really. And in order to survive that, they've really had to toughen up. But hopefully in this prequel, we get to see their vulnerabilities too, and the reasons why they've turned out to be the way they are.
And what I would say is that you don't have to have seen the film to appreciate the show. Because as in you, I know you love the film, and I, for some reason, have seen clips of it, but I don't think I've seen the full film. But you don't need to have seen the whole film, because this is just, it's brilliant because it's a prequel. You get to meet characters for the first time at the beginning of their stories, essentially. But there is a sense of absurdity in it as well, which I absolutely love. There is, it's violent, there's nudity, there's all sorts of things going on in it. It's a fantastic gangster show. But there is just a sense of the ridiculous, isn't there? Sort of them trying to be these big gangsters, and they're going that way, but on the inside, they're just fragile creatures.
We literally don't need to say anything now. You've sold it.
Have I?
Yeah.
That's what I took from it, having never seen the film.
Yeah. It's really, your energy about it is really wonderful, because I do think that there is a terrible, dark humour that's keeping them going. It's like, they're like you say, they are survivors, and I think humour is a strategy, which is a kind of, about survival, but also protection. And you never know when you're going to laugh. There's one bit where Cecilia turns to him and says, "Let me finish." Oh. And then they leave this gap, and in the middle of it, you're sort of like going...
Yes, it is. It's exactly that. The milkshake scene is a great example of that. He makes such a fuss about the milkshake when he gets it. Yeah, it's a milkshake.
Yeah, I think for Don, there's nothing worse than being the feeling of humiliation. The fact that Gal gets his coffee before Don receives his milkshake just doesn't add up in his head, and he seems to think he's being fooled or made a fool of, or slighted. So, it doesn't take much to trigger poor Don.
And were you both fans of the film before you took on and accepted the roles in the Paramount?
Yeah, I was a big fan of it.
Yeah.
I think it's a genius piece of movie making, but also because it's so character-driven. Those performances are so beautiful.
And we must mention the director. He's up for an Oscar, isn't he?
Of the film?
Of the film, yeah.
Exactly. And Sexy Beast was his first big movie. And, here we are. And obviously, our show is now going to help him
Yes.
Unquestionably. Can we talk about the hair? Can we talk about Cecilia's hair as well? Because as Ranveer pointed out, it's like Patch Butcher on steroids. I mean, and I understand there was quite a moment where this... Was it going to be a wig and then in the end you went for the full...
Well, I knew it was going to take a long time, the show, it's like over months, and I didn't really want to be having to maintain a haircut. And then the makeup designer, Sam Marshall, sent me through some pictures of the pop icon Roxette.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Right, so all the big blonde peroxide spiky with dark roots, and I just went, oh, yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, my hair has been peroxided a lot through this year.
Yeah.
But I've got a lot of really tough hair, so that's good.
That's really... And you said that you've been offered more baddie roles, more evil roles, because we know you for sort of fantastic comedy. And there is comedy in this, but it's, you know, this is different. I mean, you are vile in it.
More evil.
The character is so... Oh, my... She makes your blood run cold, doesn't she?
My children, when I was younger, used to say, don't do the face. And I'm like, I mean, that's rude.
This is just my face.
And I saw the show and I was like, oh, I see. Oh, that's it. And they came to the screening we had last night, and then my children were like,
see what we've lived with?
And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
But what you have done with it, it's really exciting. As a fan of the film, to watch this, I love things like this. Origin stories for Don and meeting his sister and Gal and all of them together. And the brilliant Stephen Moyer's in it as well, who I played Soccer Aid with, and I mean, who has that evil twist in him too, even though he's just the most delightful person in the world. Yeah. I just was so excited for you. Really loved it. Thank you so much for coming and talking about it this morning.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
I mean, there's so much we haven't had a chance to talk about as well, so I'm sorry about that, but we've run out of time.
Oh, we've got plenty of time. What else do you want to
Well, let's stick around. Yeah. The policing minister can wait, for heaven's sake. Let's talk about Green Wing, the podcast. That's going to be out? It's out? Is it launched?
I don't know when it's coming out. It's sometime this year. Yeah, we've done 6 episodes of 9 of the original cast come together, and they're still working in that hospital. But you only hear them, which for some of us is a good thing.
Well, we don't get the face, you see. Now we know what the face is like. Emun and Tamsin, thank you so much for joining us today. It's lovely to see you. It's on, we should point out 6 pieces on Paramount Plus, isn't it? It launches today.
Yeah.
Amazing. You're going to love it.